Greetings and welcome to a special variable review of The Last of Us Part 2.
That rhymed. Was that planned?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yes, as long as no follow-up questions happen. Yes, that was 100% planned. I am one of your hosts for this evening, Matt McGregor, the hero of time management. And to my right, Zach Lamotte, Dr. Luigi himself. How have you been?
I've been isolated. How about you?
Less isolated. So,
Nice.
Currently going through a pandemic of our own. So what a perfect time for this game to come out and mirror our lives. Aside from pretty much everything's exactly the same as the real world.
The real world is identical.
That's right.
To what's happening.
Exactly. Right down to the monsters.
That's right.
So speaking of the monsters, this is the first time we ever did a recording of Variable. We did an audio only episode of The Last of Us, and it was the inspiration for us to actually start a channel and start talking about games, because that game in particular was such a momentous kind of revolution from a storytelling standpoint in video games. So with that being said, what did you think of The Last of Us 2 from a more general standpoint? We're going to get into that more spoiler territory later on. We're going to do an audio-only version, which can last anywhere between 20 minutes and...
to 3 hours.
3 hours. Oh, my God.
Just kidding.
Let's aim for the 30-minute mark. Good God.
We'll try.
Yeah.
We never make it.
No, Lord,
it's
no.
going to be like 40 minutes.
I know, right?
40 to an hour is what I guess.
My favorite part is I'm going to try and just keep us on track for this particular amount of time. And then as soon as I feel like Luke in the tunnel, when you're going down the track of the Death Star, and
Right.
it's like, Luke, you turned off your targeting computer. What's wrong? And he's like, I can do it. And it's like, no, you can't. Turn on your targeting computer. The old space wizard, he passed away already. Just use the targeting computer. Anyway, you're the targeting computer of my life, and I need you right now to bring me back on
to
track.
not get it off the rails, he says.
So again, from a more general standpoint, let's kind of talk about the visual standpoint of The Last of Us 2, going from part 1 to part 2. Both of us played part 1 again in preparation for the second one. So looking at those two combined, what did you think of graphically?
Graphically amazing.
I think it's the best looking
Amazing.
console game that exists.
Agreed. Yeah, and I played it in 1080p, and it was still startlingly great. And I'm playing on a regular basis. I'm playing 4K PC games. So for this to contend with that in 1080, just with effects and whatnot alone, was very impressive. They did an amazing job.
I agree.
Namely, with the animations don't not help with the graphics part, right? Animations, I think, are what bring games to that AAA quality. Because I play a lot of indie games that have very impressive, lighting effects, and the textures on the leaves and the grass and everything look amazing. But when you add in those AAA animations, is when it really brings it to the next level.
Totally, more contextual animations too, right? When you move from a crevice or something, or going through a doorway, and the character not in a cutscene, just in a regular animation,
right,
gameplay wise, will touch the doorway of the door frame moving into the room. Just subtle things like that make the world seem more alive than being completely animated itself.
Exactly.
I agree. I think that I also played at 1080p. It is available to play in 4K and HDR, but we would need PS4 Pros.
Right, that's correct. I do not have.
We're not professionals.
We're not professionals. Yeah. We're not there yet. We're hoping with enough sponsors for this video. Just kidding. Don't sponsor us.
That'd be bonkers. Someone's we saw your stuff and we loved the bit about the targeting computer.
If you check your mail, if you check under your seat. Find a brand new PS Pro. Yeah. Exactly. So we don't got them, but we're hoping to get them.
Yeah, exactly. But even with them being
before PS5 comes out, we're just a little slow,
just behind the curve, just a little bit.
Anyways,
so I agree. I think that it looks incredible from I think the environments, not even just the animations. I think
they're the king of the environments.
That's right.
So good.
So Zach's gonna do the edit for this video. So I want you to put the video of Ellie and Dina riding the horse right now.
Got it.
Excellent.
Imagine I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Just an awkward part.
No B-roll at all.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. I meant to do it.
Yeah.
Nice.
You got the most of it. You got the discussion that's most important.
Exactly.
So you're seeing like that piece right now from the graphic standpoint, it look amazing. But to match the visual fidelity, one thing that really struck us from the first game was the audio, and not just like the sound design from like weapons and things breaking, or the environmental sounds that are happening.
The ambient sounds, yeah.
That's right. The more so like the soundtrack piece, right? And having like such, it's more like minimalist, but like with the first one was just incredible, and you had something that always struck me when you're talking to me about The Last of Us from an audio standpoint is that try to imagine playing those scenes without audio.
Right.
And that's kind of what I did in this one too. And I don't think the audio, just from the soundtrack standpoint, hits the same levels of the first one.
Right.
But maybe that's just because that was such like a shock. The first one being so good.
Yeah, you never played anything like it, and then boom, you're put into like this, atmosphere that's like, I guess, a semblance of what you've done in post-apocalyptic like gameplay before, but then they've got this whole other atmosphere that just took it in a whole different level.
Right.
I was talking about before a while back when we were playing. When we were replaying the PS, like The Last of Us Part 1, and I had mentioned that, like, try to play that one without the soundtrack, because the soundtrack for those games is really, like, so you had said, like, the graphics are the best, and argumentatively they are. Like, The Last of Us Part 1, when it came out, is not like nothing I had seen up to that point. So absolutely, but I think that the graphics hold up because of the atmosphere that the soundtrack creates. Like when I'm playing the game, I'm marveling at the atmosphere, but only when it's all together in one like tight kit. Like I could still play it, and the graphics, if you turn the audio all the way down, like if you're just looking at what's going on the screen, it's not anything like crazy special compared to what I've seen in other games. Like you play games like Wildlands, like they do like 40-kilometer square grids that are all like pixel perfect everywhere you go. Like it gets more impressive environmentally speaking, but it's to me the soundtrack that really like makes the graphics seem better. It's almost like an illusion or something like that. Everything is more gorgeous or more terrifying or more special or whatever when the soundtrack is happening.
Agreed. So I was thinking that the overall sum are greater than its parts, and I think the parts themselves are amazing, but when you add them all in, there's something that, like, there's the Naughty Dog secret sauce, whatever that happens to be.
Exactly.
Is incredible. So a lot of, like, before we kind of get into a little bit of like touchstones in terms of like what if we liked or disliked the story, did you feel there were like the mechanics from gameplay standpoint from going from Last of Us Part 1 to Last of Us Part 2, do you think that there was, I think that's been the biggest criticism of The Last of Us itself, is that the story is amazing, music's amazing, graphics amazing, but the gameplay is the part that I think people have always had like a hard time with, in being, I think stealth isn't for everybody. Do you think that they were able to achieve a greater presence from like the gameplay department in Part 2, or did you prefer like the Part 1?
Okay, so a few thoughts on that. First of all, I wasn't aware that was the perception of the game. Like, folks that I talk to, I find aren't really, I don't know, I guess there seems to be a harsh line. Either you love The Last of Us or like it's whatever to you.
Right.
I remember we talked to some of our friends back in the day, and like, yeah, The Last of Us wasn't for me. It was like too slow. So the only thing I've ever heard about The Last of Us gameplay in a negative light was that it might be a little too slow for like the CS:GO players or people that are looking for like the shoot 'em up cops and robbers.
Right. Yeah.
But anyways,
Twitch kind of shooting.
Exactly. I didn't know that, so I can't really speak to that myself, but I can just say that from my own opinion from the first to the second one, I found that there were nothing but positive improvements to the gameplay. I don't know if there is any negative buzz going around the gameplay for Part 2 right now. So let's say, for example, take Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2. Assassin's Creed 2 kind of lost me a little bit because they had some success with the first one, and I feel like they were like, okay, we just have to get, like, now that we have a better budget, we can make the game objectively better by throwing in like so much more like you get like 2 blades instead of 1, and like you
Right.
could use a gun, and you could use like a slingshot or whatever the hell it is, like whatever gadgets you're given. And it was just kind of like
the coolest looking like design of her character, like Altair, like in these like amazing robes and shit like that, and then he just goes,
yeah. A boomerang.
yeah,
Stone off the ground. Hey!
there he is. And he assassinated our king with a slingshot.
But like, so that they kind of lost me a little bit, because I feel like Assassin's Creed 1 was all about the villains in that game, and then
Right.
de-vilifying them, and like
Those discussions after you kill them,
Exactly.
and like the animus kind of looking fog.
and all the gameplay up to that point is all about it. Like, it literally all revolves around the villains until you're done the game. And I really liked that workflow. And then the second one, it was just a mess to me, because there were so many new mechanics and gameplay attributes going on, and I was like, well, when are we gonna get to the bad guys? You know,
Right.
like, so in this one, I feel like they hit it out of the park. I think they did a really good job at introducing some new, like the prone, like
prone
we
was
were
the
talking
thing,
about,
exactly.
yeah. The prone stealth gameplay, like you said, it reminded me of like a lot of like Metal Gear Solid and like the stealth action games that we grew up playing. And the rope mechanics were fine. Like, they didn't like blow my mind. They didn't take me out of it. Like, they were a positive improvement or addition.
There was just enough for them not to get annoying.
Exactly. Yeah. And they were like, they mixed it up a little bit. It's not always like the dumpster up to the wall
Right,
like
exactly.
trick, which they did a lot in the first one.
Or like Ellie hop on like the board so I can get you across the thing.
Right.
Like there's a cool moment where Ellie falls in the water, and they haven't let you know that she can swim, but she can, all of a sudden she's swimming, and it's like kind of like a nice moment. That's kind of, it's kind of like, hey, we've heard you, because the people that were one of like another criticism of The Last of Us was like those moments where Joel's like, hop on the board again, like just teach her that she can kick, and like it's relatively shallow water,
Right.
or something. So in this one, yeah, I think that it was like a nod to fans being like, yes, she can swim. It's
Right.
It's
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's fine. Like chill.
Right, right.
Because this game isn't divisive whatsoever. So it's all
Right.
good. There's no controversy whatsoever. So
Yeah,
it's fine.
exactly. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, I have a lot more to say on that, but I suppose we should move on.
We'll save it for like we're gonna go like in depth more like
Yes.
in the audio version. Zach, I want you to put a link to the audio version right here. Okay, right here. Actually, what I want you to do, what I want you to do, hear me out.
Yeah, okay.
The first
Fade
one,
to.
yeah, the first one, the first place I pointed. I want you to put like another link up there to like the audio thing, like
Right.
wherever the audio link happens to be. You do
Got
your
it.
magic. I don't know how that thing, these
Me
things
either.
work.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
And then I'm gonna want you to be holding like, I don't know, like you did here.
A grail or something?
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say like a box, like a 12 banger of like donuts from like Timmy O's.
Timmy O's?
Yeah, and then replace the
Timbits.
donuts with the link to the audio.
The link. That's brilliant.
Cool.
It's brilliant.
Excellent.
That's why we do what we do.
Exactly. That's why we're getting sponsored.
That's why one day we'll get the PS Pro. I know it.
Join the
It's gonna
PS5
happen.
life cycle. Okay, so lastly, again, we'll touch on story stuff more so in the audio version of things. Where we'll get to heavy spoilers, but in a nutshell, did you find like that you loved the story just as much as the first one? Were there like more ups and downs for you? Did you feel like personally, just to kind of give like my take on it, I still thought it was like fantastic. I think that it goes on for too long, and I'll get into what pieces I think I can have dropped out to make it more of a short, concise, maybe not short, but more of a concise story.
Nice spoiler.
I know,
Jeez.
right? That I'm trying to dance around it, right?
Yeah, I
Like
can tell. I generally agree with
when
that.
Ellie got her arms cut off, and then they
Yeah.
replaced them with the cyborg
With the
ones. But
cyborg ones.
one's like a highlight glove, and one's like a tennis racket. What do you got?
But spoiler alert, she uses the tennis racket for things other than tennis.
Yeah.
Whooping ass.
Still killing people.
Yeah, I think that I generally feel the same way. A little bit disappointed with some of the story stuff, and we'll go into detail at the end of the day. I'm just gonna be dancing around like what I really want to say.
Right.
Link to
Right.
the audio part. Yay. That's what we wanted. That's what I wanted. I'm gonna put the audio clip there for a second and then go away, like before anybody could click on
I
it.
blacked out. It was
before you
just
slap.
I only saw you, didn't hear you, and it looks like you're just going for like a low five. I'm like, all right, on. Said exactly what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Said exactly what you wanted to say. Yeah, so if you were to see the whole package of The Last of Us, so again, that was both, like the first one, both probably in our top 5 games, if not even higher for you.
Yeah.
We both gave that one a 10. I looked up the score we gave it in our first ever episode. What would you give The Last of Us Part Dos?
Ooh. Why don't you go first?
Sure. So like, despite like I had some qualms with it, I think that it elevates storytelling. Again, I don't think there's anything close to it in terms of storytelling. Again, I think it's the best graphics you can get from a console game, and that's again only playing in the 1080 version. The audio and everything. I think the sum is greater than the parts, and I think the parts are still amazing. There's just some pieces that I wish that I could tweak and just remove. I think lesser is more in this particular sense, and I still would give it a 9.5. I think it's still phenomenal. It's just not to the tip top of the mountain, I would say.
Right.
I actually want to scale it back. I'd like to give it a 9. Straight up.
9 out of 10. So I kind of have some similar thoughts. I think I was a little bit more disappointed than yourself. I tried to keep my expectations hyper low, but there was some stuff in there that kind of made me upset. So,
Right.
And probably not what you'd expect, but I give it an 8 out of 10.
Cool. Yeah, that's still like a very respectable for like.
I agree. I'm like hypercritical. 8 out of 10 is still amazing for me. I'm very picky dude, but because I think there was a lot of amazing stuff going on for The Last of Us Part 2.
Right.
For sure.
With that being said, again, an 8 and a 9, still like phenomenal. If you have an opportunity, please go check it out. Again, the game isn't for everybody. It is a little slower, but if you do like stealth, there's more to it than just stealth. There's a lot of like quieter moments of dialogue going back and forth. So if you really like storytelling, this is a game that you definitely want to check out. But in the meantime, like if you have an opportunity, go check out the spoiler cast that we're gonna do.
Yes.
In a few hot minutes here. So thank you for checking out the video, guys. I really appreciate it. And as always, we'll see you on the field shortly.
Yay.
Yay.